This video is brought to you by Miniature Market. Thousands of board games, miniatures, and paints, discount prices at miniaturemarket.com.
Hey guys, it's Steph. Now, I'm here to take over Rob's channel because it's Tuesday. Tuesday is my day, right? Well, today I have so many games I want to talk about because there's always so many games to talk about, right? But I just want to start off with talking a little bit about, what I do within the hobby. So besides all the photographs and the blogs and the social media and all this stuff, I actually have a hobby within the hobby, and that's to buy and sell games. So because I like to play so much, it means I have to acquire games and play them. Therefore, I have a ton of games on my shelf of shame, or as I like to call it, shelf of opportunity, because all these games I have that I just need to play. So my collection is about 1,300 games, a little bit more than that actually, and I have about 400 of them that I have not yet played. Now, some of you are like, oh my goodness, that's crazy. Yeah, it's crazy, but I think about it this way. I'll eventually play it, and because I like to buy games cheaply, I can then, sell them when I'm done. So I'm really just paying for the cost of playing a game once and then likely selling it. Unless, of course, I love it, which is the hope and dream for every game that I play, right? I want to play all the games, so therefore, this is my chance. I go to a ton of different conventions, so if you see me, say hi. Maybe we can play a game, because that's what I love. Or maybe you can teach me a game, because that's what I love even more, and then I don't have to read the rules. But all these cons have these virtual flea markets that, there's Geek Lists on BGG that allow you to put up your games for sale. If you're done with a game, maybe, you want to move it on to a better home, or you just need some extra cash or something. So you can submit these games on the virtual flea market, and oftentimes there's a flea market happening during a convention. So at BGG Con, there's the Bazaar, and at Dice Tower Con, there's the flea market. So all these different opportunities to sell your games, or in my case, I like to sell and buy. So I buy all these games that people are selling so then I can try them. And so this is a hobby within my hobby. So I know what every game is going for, and the fluctuating markets of all the game prices, best time to sell a game, best time to buy a game, all these different things is all my knowledge. So it's very exciting, and it keeps me engaged with what games are happening and out there, what's hot and what's not. And so that's another whole part of this hobby that people may or may not realize exists. Now with the Facebook groups, there's buy and sell games, so a lot of people have found out about this kind of trading and buying through groups like that, which is great. And you can request games, and then people will be like, oh yeah, I have that for sale. And there's easy ways to communicate with people who might want to sell you a game that you're looking for. So that Grail game you're looking for might be easier to find than you might think. For me, my Grail game happened to be Colors of Kasane, and it took 3 years to find it. Now this game actually ended up getting a French edition, I think, released a couple years ago, but before that it was basically a one and done situation Japanese game where they made 200 copies. So if you're lucky enough to have one, well, then you're lucky enough to have one. Fortunately, I found that original copy and I really, really love it. So that's my Grail game, and it took years to find. But I eventually was able to find it because of situations like the virtual flea market, or people just knowing that I'm looking for it, and just putting yourself out there, and you'll eventually find a copy of what you're looking for. And that's half the fun, is ooh, what's that? What's that? Ooh, what's that? What's that? I need to know. That's a drafting game? I gotta play it. Oh my god. So all these exciting ways that you can learn about games is oh, that guy's posting that game for sale. What's that? Let me see. Click. And then I learn about more games. And they're oh yeah, I want to play that. Buy it for $5. Buy it for $10. Whatever the cost is. So that's how my unplayed shelf got to be about 400 games large. I have some work to do. But it's pretty cool, and I wonder if people would be interested in knowing what games I have on the unplayed shelf. But they get kind of pushed back because some of them are longer and more in depth, and I just don't have time to read the rules, or I need somebody to explain them. So some of them, I want to play, like Eldritch Horror, for example. That's been on my want to play list for so long, and I have it over there on the shelf, but here we are. I just need to play it, I guess. So that was my quick spiel about buying and selling games. I go to lots of cons, so that's your chance. That's my big chance to sell and buy a ton of games, is going to different conventions. So if you like to do that too, you probably see me around. So in recent gaming experiences, I've been playing Enchanters Overlords. This was a recent Kickstarter delivery. I think people are still even getting it shipped to them currently, but mostly fulfilled at this point. Now, I hadn't really heard about this game. I just knew it had gorgeous art, because that's how I judge everything, really. It's just like, does that have pretty art? Ooh, I want to play it. Okay. So that's like my first, oh yeah, what's that? I want to see. And this is a very clever card-driven game. There is a lineup of cards, and on your turn you're going to do one thing. You're either going to purchase a card from the row, or you're going to fight a monster in the row, or the main villain guy, or you're just going to simply rest. Now, what's really interesting about this game is that you will be upgrading your, hand, if you will, which will have different weapons or different, things you can put in your hand, or defenses, basically melee kind of stuff. And then you'll have your, enchantment row here, column. And in here you'll be getting different enchantments or things to help you upgrade your abilities via, a magical kind of sense, if you will. So every time I were to take, a hand card or a melee card, I'll put it on top of the previous one. It basically negates everything on the card right below it, except there's a little tiny sliver at the bottom which might have persistent effects. It might have 1 point that you can claim at the end of the game. It might have 1 shield, which will help you with your defense. That's an ongoing ability. So you'll always have that. However, if it has a really cool, if you rest you can take 5 coins, that action might be covered up and you will lose it for good. So you want to be really pick and choose on which cards you want to add, because your abilities don't stack. You are literally playing on top of these cards that you have, and you only have 2 columns. Now, once you have enough strength and defense, you can start fighting the monsters in the row, and then they will give you sweet one-time abilities, but also a whole lot of points at the end if you do it right. So in the box, the game box, you will have tons of different factions. It's like a rainbow of beautiful factions. You might have the goblins, you might have the unicorns. There's so many different things, and there's so much room for opportunity, and that's why there's more Kickstarters coming for it. But you can mix and match these different factions, and each faction has its own unique, deck of cards. Every deck will have a dragon, for example, which will be unique to that deck. And all of the different characters, the monsters you're fighting, are going to be unique to that faction that you're doing. And so each game you're going to put in some number of these factions and shuffle them all together and create your own gaming experience. There's also a ton of different villains you're going to be playing from game to game, and each location on the board, you're only using 1, and there's a whole bunch in the box. There's maybe 20 or something. So it's every game you're going to have a new villain, a new location, you're going to have all the different factions. There's so much and it's just simple concept, and it's so easy to understand this game, and that's why I think it's doing as well as it is, because it's just so easy to set up and just jump right in to a new gaming experience. I could easily teach this to anybody, and I think that's really a key feature these days. If the rules are simple enough just to sit down and remember and teach, it will succeed, versus something like Nemesis, where you can't really just sit down and play, because there's a lot going on, and I have never played it, so I don't really know, but it's a bit intimidating for someone, even, you know, like me, who I play all the games. I'm just like, all the stuff, oh my god, ah. And so it's a little intimidating, and you know, one day I'll probably end up trying it because that's what I do, but it's not high on my priority list versus something that's, you know, readily available, people are excited about, has gorgeous art, nice quality production. So it was really, it's eye candy, this game, and it was a lot of fun. And one other game I just wanted to touch on was Genties, or, you know, that's how I say it, Genties, the Deluxeified edition from Tasty Minstrel Games, which I just got. And man, it is just so beautiful. Oh my goodness. The meeples in this game are just outstanding. Oh my goodness. The Deluxeified games from Tasty Minstrel Games are just gorgeous. I have the whole slew of them up there. Yokohama, Orleans, Crusaders, now Genties, and every time I'm just blown away with the quality inside the box. I already owned Genties, the original Spielworks game, and I've liked it. I've played it a few times, but it's kind of sat on the shelf with everything else because I have 1,300 games that I play. Not everything once in a year, so some things just will have to wait. But I'm glad I could finally get this game played again with the quality. Really just makes a game that much better in my opinion. Yeah, I recently saw a meme that said, board gamers complain about a $100 game. Everything's $100. Oh my god, why? And then board gamers also, well, I could buy those $50 upgrade bits to make the game much better. Yeah, alright. You know, so it's like, you could make like a standard $30, $40 game, and then somebody makes the bits to go with it, and everybody will still buy the bits because we want shiny things, right? And so, you know, it is what it is. You want the easy price point, but you also want the awesome bits. So I love the deluxe games because it's all right there. You get the metal coins, you get the cool meeples, all these different things. Genties is really great because it's like a light Civ builder. You're building up your different cards that will help you with in-game actions and perhaps, you know, the night phase income times. But it's really about managing the cards you can play and the buildings you can build and the people you can collect, because you just don't have time to do everything. Every action will take sand time, like a sand timer that you'll place in these spaces on your board. And if it takes 2 time, you can put 2 sand timer there. However, at the end of the round, all spaces will lose 1 sand timer. So if you have 2 sand timers in a space, one of them will be left over into the next round. So you're already losing 1 possible action space going into the next round. So it's like everything totally matters, and you might only get 2 or 3 actions in a round. So you just really want to prioritize what you're doing. Of course, when I played, it was just like a hot mess. I haven't played in a few years now, and you know, I went for cards and I got a lot of points for cards, but like my buildings were a mess. I never got my people. I got enough people to get the bonus for that. So it's like, I just did not do very well, and I ended up losing that time. But I'm like, all right, next time, all right, I'm going to go for buildings. I'm going to get some cards. I'm going to make it work. And so we'll see where that goes. But I just had to share that. You know, I just love that new deluxe version from Tasty Minstrel Games. So, you know, that's kind of been what I've been playing. There's always so much, right? So thanks for watching, guys. And next time I will definitely be talking about my experience of Tantrum Con, because I'm going to be going to that. So I'm sure I will have a lot to report with that convention. And if you're going, well, look for me, I guess. Bye.